You just got into a car accident in Maryland. Your car's repaired, but suddenly it's worth thousands less, and no one told you that that could happen. And when you try to sell it or trade it in, that accident history haunts you. But here's what most people don't know. If the crash wasn't your fault, Maryland law might allow you to recover that lost value, and this video shows you how to get it. So you don't leave thousands on the table just because your insurance company hoped you'd never ask. Hi, I'm Bobby Zirkin. I've been an attorney for almost 30 years. And let's get right into it. If you were in a car accident here in Maryland, your car gets fixed, but your car just isn't worth what it was before the crash. When you try to sell or trade it, the value drops, all because it now has an accident in its history. That difference in value is called diminished value. And here's the important part. You might be able to recover that lost value from the at-fault driver's insurance or in your legal case against them. Most people don't even know this is possible, but in Maryland, this is a real right that you have. The law recognizes that even after repairs, a car with an accident on its record carries a stigma. Buyers worry about hidden damage or future problems, so insurance companies know they might have to pay for that loss in value. That's where the diminished value claim comes in. Why insurance companies don't tell you about diminished value. Here's a secret. Insurance companies aren't eager to tell you about diminished value claims. Their adjusters are trained to focus only on the cost of repairs. In most cases, you'll get a call where they offer to cover your auto body shop bills, maybe a little bit more for a rental car, and then they'll act like that's all that you're owed. But you're not just owed repairs. Maryland law says that you are able to be put back where you were before someone else crashed into you. And that includes the value your car lost just by having an accident in its history. So it's on you to raise a diminished value claim and fight for that money. That's why a lot of folks bring in a Maryland personal injury attorney to level the playing field and make sure the insurance company doesn't get away with shortchanging them. How diminished value works in Maryland. Now let's break down how diminished value works specifically in our great state of Maryland. In Maryland, you can only claim diminished value if you were not at fault for the accident, meaning another driver caused the crash. The claim goes against their insurance, not your own. This is important. If you were at fault, you usually cannot get diminished value from your own coverage. Maryland law is pretty consumer-friendly here. State courts have recognized that diminished value is a real, measurable loss, and that insurance companies must pay for it when the other driver is at fault. That means if you were hit by someone else, their insurance company was responsible for making up the difference, not just fixing your car, but fixing your wallet too. There are a few other rules. You have to prove the loss. You can only claim diminished value for a car that wasn't declared a total loss. And the car should be relatively new or have relatively low mileage. That's not a necessity, but it's an important point. If your car was already 10 years old with 150,000 miles, the diminished value is probably pretty low. But if you drive a 2-year-old Honda Accord with 25,000 miles, your diminished value claim could be thousands of dollars. Proving diminished value after a crash. Let's talk about proof. The key to a successful diminished value claim in Maryland is showing the difference in your car's value before and after the accident, even after repairs. This can be a challenge, but there are a few tried and true ways to do it. You can get a professional appraisal. There are experts who specialize in post-accident vehicle appraisals. They can examine your car, review the history, and give you a written estimate of its reduced value due to the accident. You can use online tools. It's not my favorite method, but they are available. Websites like Kelley Blue Book and Edmunds can help you estimate your car's value before and after an accident. This at least gives you an idea of where you are. You get written offers. If you take your car to a dealership or get offers from private buyers, ask them to put in writing what they pay and get them to confirm the lower value is because of the accident in its history. The more documentation you have, the stronger your claim will be. Save everything. Repair invoices, appraisals, letters from buyers or dealerships, any communication with insurance companies. Here's a Maryland example. Let's say you're driving a 3-year-old Toyota Camry. Before the accident, it was worth $20,000. After a rear-end collision that was the other driver's fault, you get your car fixed for $5,000. A dealership then tells you that because it's been in a crash, it's now only worth $16,500. That $3,500 difference is the diminished value of your car due to the accident. You can use this evidence, the pre-accident value, the post-accident value, the repair records, to demand an additional $3,500 from the liable driver's insurance company. If they push back, that's where a lawyer steps in, and that will be included in both your claim and your lawsuit. The next step is filing an actual claim with insurance company. Here's what we do for our clients in Maryland. We notified the at-fault driver's insurance. We put them on notice in writing that we're making a claim, including a diminished value claim. We submit your evidence, including appraisal, repair invoices, documentation of your car's reduced value, anything we have. We'll negotiate on your behalf. The insurance company will probably lowball us at first, sometimes offering only a few $100 or outright denying the claim. We don't settle for less than what your evidence supports. We use the Maryland Insurance Administration if necessary. If you hit a brick wall, you can file a complaint with the Maryland Insurance Administration, which oversees bad faith insurance practices. And an insurance company that denies a diminished value claim out of hand is acting in bad faith. In some cases, insurance companies will refuse to pay what you're owed. When that happens, your best move is to get a Maryland personal injury lawyer involved earliest possible time. We can help you negotiate, and if needed, we will file a claim and lawsuit to recover what you are entitled to. How long do we have to file? Very important. Maryland statute of limitations for property damage, including diminished value, is 3 years from the date of the accident. If you wait too long, you will lose your right to make a claim and file suit. Don't let time run out. Start your claim as soon as possible once repairs are done and you have proof of diminished value. So here are some common mistakes that can cost you thousands of dollars. Over the years, I've seen Maryland drivers make these same mistakes over and over again before they get to us. Here are the top ones to avoid. First, accepting an insurance check too quickly. Once you cash that check or sign a release, you usually can't go back for more money. Always check if it covers diminished value before you accept a check, and always consult an attorney. Second, not getting professional help. A simple online estimate might not be enough. If your claim is big, we will get an expert appraisal, and you should always talk to a lawyer. Third, missing deadlines. Remember, you have 3 years from the date of the accident to file your lawsuit, but the sooner you act, the better. And it's important to collect evidence right from the start. Fourth, assuming your own insurance pays. Maryland law says you can only get diminished value from the at-fault driver's insurance, not your own policy. It's really important to remember that. Fifth, not documenting everything. Like I said, keep a paper trail, save emails, letters, appraisals, everything. It's your best weapon when things get tough. Here's a Maryland family's story. A client of mine owned a nearly new Ford Explorer when she was T-boned in an intersection in Silver Spring. Repairs were done, but when she tried to trade in her SUV, dealers offered her $4,000 less than similar models without the accident. We gathered all the documentation and fought the other driver's insurance who only wanted to pay $500 for diminished value. With proof in hand and a willingness to push back, she walked away with the entire $4,000. That's real money. That's important, and it's yours. You are owed that money, and it's important to make sure you get full compensation for your case. Will my rates go up if I file a diminished value claim? It's an important question. In Maryland, making a diminished value claim against the at-fault driver's insurance will not affect your insurance rates. This isn't a claim against your own policy, it's against the other driver's policy. So there's no risk to you and no reason not to pursue the money that you are owed. If your insurance company tries to increase your rates because of this, that is a claim that you should make to the Maryland Insurance Administration. What about leased or financed cars? If your car is leased, or you've got a loan, you can still make a diminished value claim. Sometimes your lender will even require you to do it because they want to protect their interest in the car. Just make sure the insurance check is made out properly, sometimes to both you and the lender. Does diminished value apply to all cars? Not always. The newer, higher value and lower mileage your car is, the more likely you can collect meaningful diminished value. But even if your car is older, it's worth checking out. Sometimes the difference is bigger than you might think it is. Tips to maximize your recovery. First, act fast. The fresher your evidence, the stronger your claim. Second, keep your documentation organized. Third, don't accept the first offer. We never do. Insurance almost always starts low. Fourth, consider legal help. if your claim particularly is large, but at any stage in this type of a process, a lawyer can always make a difference. So to sum it up, if you've been in a car accident in Maryland and it wasn't your fault, in addition to things like medical bills, lost wages, and so on, you might be owed money for your car's diminished value on top of the repair costs. That's your right, and it can mean thousands more in your pocket. So gather your proof, we will file the claim properly, and we'll be prepared to push back when the insurance company tries to lowball us. Don't leave money on the table. If you need help, reach out to a Maryland professional personal injury attorney, someone who knows these claims inside and out. Ready to keep protecting your rights? You'll want to watch the next video, Proving Negligence in Maryland Dog Bite Lawsuits. It's packed with tips you absolutely need if you or someone you love ever faces a dog bite situation. Don't wait. Your rights depend on knowing exactly what evidence counts in Maryland court. See you right there.